Hello, welcome to Monastica. This is a modern day sanctuary refuge for women seeking to deepen into their devotional life. My name is Lauren, and I am your certified spiritual director for those seeking feminine soul renewal. It is my pleasure to support you in cultivating a contemplative attitude through spiritual discipline. And today I'm bringing with to you the third segment of living in devotion. And so today's topic is intimacy and joy. So the reason that these two come together and ideally we can aim for this. It may not be where we're at right now. However, I believe that we derive true joy through our intimacy with God. And so as we cultivate our devotional life, which is just this desire to be in relation with the divine, the creator, God, Holy Mother, Holy Father, we have opportunities to know with greater clarity and certainty who God is. Who are we in relationship to? What is the God of creation? And as a as a healing ministry for women, Monastica is not about a religious belief or a spiritual um, pathway, even. It is about each individual having an opportunity to reorient their lives to God on their own terms. And I think that this is really important in these times when we have experienced a lot of religious and spiritual wounding and my own bias that we need God in our lives. We need to have a direct, intimate experience of God to be our guiding light in the world. To be that essence that leaves us knowing without doubt that we're not alone, that we don't have to stay in perpetual cycles of healing, loneliness, unclarity, fear, anxiety. That the more intimate we know God, the more bravely we walk in the mystery of the unknown. And there's a lot of empowerment and sovereignty in that for these chaotic times, times which really seem to be separating ourselves from divine, but also separating ourselves from our human family. The divisive energies are really very rampant right now. It shows up in so many facets of our life right now. And so I feel like the more we connect with this quality of divine creation that has put us here for a purpose, that we can maybe focalize that and restore harmony in our human family. So, in this particular talk, I'm going to just give you ideas around God for you to get curious about and for you to contemplate in your own time, because it might not resonate with you. It might not be where you're at now or even where you'll come to. Um, this comes from, I think, places that might even be in my own bias. It comes from an understanding of who God is. So don't take it as though I'm speaking with any authority, because that's not my place as a spiritual director. My place as a spiritual director is for you to learn how to be in holy listening and to learn discernment and to build your ability to be in the experience of spirit with you so that you can be guided by that divine presence. So that you receive the answers that you need in this moment, not the ones I want to give you or could give you. Okay. This is a real opportunity for you to build that intimate connection, that direct connection to God. Okay. So when we're aligned in our devotional life, we are coming into relationship with God. So, why relationship? In relationships, what is it that we're after? Like if you think about any relationship, whether it's a relationship with a grown child, a partner, a relationship with a family member, a coworker, that we might spend time with, or even like spend time dreaming about. What is it about the relationship that draws us to be in one in the first place? And I believe that this is because we seek joy from relationship. Like we wouldn't seek relationship to like be manipulated and hurt. Like we never seek relationship for that reason. And intimacy. As humans, it's our nature. We are communal by nature. It's normal for us to want to be with someone else. And God's love is personal and relational. So this is a reciprocal relationship. That's what I personally feel is true, is that God seeks to be with its creation. Otherwise, why would he have created you? If God didn't so want to know you and love you and guide you, why would you have been created? Why would you be here now? And if we didn't desire relationship from like this place, maybe deep inside, something we can't even understand about ourselves, even in times when we're not in physical relationship with someone else, we always have God in our lives, access to our Creator, so that we can always be in relation. Even when we are alone, we don't need to be lonely. This is a beautiful reciprocal relation by design. And one of the beautiful benefits of deepening into our understanding of how we are connected and related to this union with Creator God. So I'm going to just move forward then now with just like some bullet points to provide us with ways in which we can understand how and why we might cultivate a relation of joy and intimacy. And if you think about joy in relationship is when we can just fully be ourselves. We can bring all of ourselves. It's like, honestly, it's one of the reasons I love getting together with my girlfriends. Because like I can really let my potty mouth go. I'm not someone that really loves to use, you know, like inappropriate language, but when I'm with my girlfriends, it gives me permission to kind of let that side of myself out. And I definitely have that side. I'll allow that side of myself to come out. And it might be a time like when I'm with my daughter in that relationship, I allow my goofiness to come out. She's a goofy girl, and like together we can just be funny and goofy together. And so this particular intimate relationship allows us to bring all of ourselves forward, even the parts that are most vulnerable, the parts of us that are even shameful. All of ourself is free to express itself in this relationship with the divine. And in doing so, it often has this transformative quality. When we can bring our hurt in a vulnerability, in this vulnerable state that we're in, to bring ourselves authentically to God, it has a transformative quality. Think about when you've spent time with your girlfriends. You had some dinner and you've just let everything kind of out. Everyone takes their turn sharing. You leave feeling transformed. Maybe it's lighter, maybe just more connected. You don't feel alone. You feel maybe inspired, supported, held. It's transformative. So some of our desires can actually ease itself when we bring all of ourselves forward to God, because in doing so, we're already transformed. So some of those desires ease up. And I love this that our relationship to God allows us to move from significance into meaningfulness. So I love this because as I support women to find greater purpose and meaningfulness in life through their sacred service, their soul gifts, it helps in our understanding of our own self and our relationship to God. And I truly believe that this is unique for everyone. The way that we connect and relate to God is personal, it's individual. It honors the uniqueness of ourself in the way that we come into relationship with God. Some of us might connect to God when we're in nature. Maybe it's through music. Maybe it's through silence and meditation. We all have this access point to God that is truly unique. And also understand that we're never separate. Like God is always there, whether we're in nature, whether we're in our meditation practice. There's no separation. God is within. And so the more that we meet God within, we build this intimate relationship. We become more intimate with ourselves because we're seeing ourselves through the lens of God, how God sees us. And we allow this. Think about the longer you know someone, the more trust you have in that relationship, in that person. So this is the same with our relationship with God. we build this trust and this gnosis, this knowing, this inner wisdom, like, oh, yeah, that is God. Like we become un, unmovable in our knowing of God, the more intimate we can be with God. Okay. So a reflection here now. If you are coming to your spiritual practices and you are coming to God and you aren't feeling joy, so it's not that you might still be upset because of a situation or current circumstances. Like, I'm not saying that you need to be in joy around that, but when you come to God and you bring your emotions, your pain, your thoughts, and you're not in joy around being in that space, that relationship, I want you to just reflect for a moment on why that might be. So, when you come to your spiritual practice and you're doing it out of dutifulness or expectation, does that sometimes dampen the joy of just simply being in the presence of the divine? Do you ever notice that in your devotional life? And it's not like we're never not going to, it's not like we always have to feel joy. Our devotional life is enduring, it's a commitment. It is a commitment to being in relation in sacred space every day. And so, yeah, sometimes we drag ourselves to the mat, and that is okay. But in that moment, are we open to receiving transformation that might simply allow ourselves to feel joy just to be in that presence? That it takes the burden off of us for what's happening in our lives in that moment, like in that around certain circumstances, like where we can just unburden ourselves for the duration of that meeting time. And in that joy that we might aspire to, or that transformation, we allow it to be a time where we just become open to receive. And so we might receive joy, but we might receive a third option, a third path into a situation that seemed really hopeless. But then also just allowing ourselves to be held, to be, to have the shoulder to cry on. Maybe it's that sacred place, just cry, to let the holy tears roll down the face. Allowing your relationship to be that intimate. But that maybe you come in your grief and you run to that divine presence because you know you can take the burden off of your shoulders, at least for a few moments. You can give the burden, the difficult emotions, the pain, you can hand it over for just a moment. Be in that surrendering. In relationship, we are just truly vulnerable and we are willing to be in relationship because we trust. We know that You know that person that's got you. Okay. I love that our relationship with God doesn't have to just be etheric. Like, like even even outside of the fundamental church where God is out there, oftentimes in spiritual communities too, we're always seeking God outside of our body. We're seeking for the spiritual experience that is, um, very expansive and outside of our body. And I invite us into a more intimate relation by having a love that is personal. So when we are seeking divine presence, we can also seek a personal love. This is right here. It's in the body, it's in the earth. That to be in love is relational, it's in relationship. It's not when we get the amazing download that we feel most connected. It's not that when we invoke and invite um, a frequency or an energy or an archetype into our life that we feel the most intimate connection. It's when we're right here, still in the body, real relationship. It's in the moment to moment, breath to breath experience that we are in direct relationship with the divine. The relationship is devotional. It's a higher level of devotion. It's stronger than commitment. It's not separate from any thought, any sensation, any emotion. Okay. Now here's another reflection for us to have. Sometimes we feel that our relationship to God warrants outcome. Like, give me proof. If I put my time in, what do I get out of it? And so, where are we in our relationship to the divine? Are we disappointed in the outcomes? Has our relationship not met the expectations we might have? Is it not giving us the joy we feel like we desire and deserve? And so, if this is where you're at all, is it possible that we're only seeing God through the lens of our own human eyes and our own heart of desire? Is it possible that we're not really open to seeing how God is working in our life, working for us, for our highest good? Like, can we see God in all the things we do have? What has God provided for us that we aren't able to see because we're in a mindset of disappointment and maybe impatience. So maybe considering bringing your devotional practice into this. Like, let's try it tomorrow. Tomorrow, wake up and take stock of everything that you have already that has been really provided for you through divine provision. Because sometimes we might ask for something, but it shows up maybe in different timing than we expected, or it shows up in different ways. Can we be in an appreciation for what we have now? And when we are, that brings us a quality of joy and trust in the wellspring of life. Okay, this is an interesting reflection too. Are we truly seeking love? Love as like love equals God or love equals divine presence? Are we seeking love or are we after liberation? When and I'm going to talk to us, those of us who are, really, really good about our spiritual practices. We are really good with spiritual discipline. We know all the tools, all the technologies, and we're really good about utilizing them. And we might have like specific expectations, like we do, practice A and B in order to really receive a result, a specific result. And so sometimes when we get caught up in the practice, it takes us away from relationship. And it can keep us in a perpetual cycle of um, processing our wounding. We take we take this class for healing. We work with this mentor. We work with this um, form of medicine. And you probably can recognize that we can tend to have a tendency to hold on to this spiral of healing, to be in the healing journey for a long time. Like some of our wounding from childhood, we're still working on for, over 20 years. When we seek liberation from the wounding rather than love, like receiving God's love through this intimate relationship, we don't allow for true transformation. It's a way of bypassing true transformation. Sometimes it's easier to stay where we're comfortable and trying to like, yeah, well, maybe this will work and it'll, I don't have to do the work. I don't have to face myself fully. There's something quite magical that happens when we are in real intimate relationship with a God that we truly love. Because that transformation does happen on the quantum. Something that we've worked and practiced on healing for 20 years can transform in one sitting, one meeting, one transformational heart to heart, authentic connection with the loving God. And so just considering that. And it's not that we shouldn't do the spiritual practices, but sometimes we emphasize those as the way to break through. When really what God's after is just to like break your heart open, truly break your heart open and surrender that hurt, that pain that you've been holding on to. So deepening into God's love really allows for true freedom. Okay, so getting intimate and joyful with God, I think are like the two points that we can always return to when we're in our we're in our spiritual journey, we're in spiritual communities, and we're maybe working with a mentor, teacher, we're in church. Um, how do we gauge truth? How do we really recognize what is God? And and so I'm just going to lay out here that maybe it's my bias, but I believe God is omnipresent. God is in everything, every moment. And God is omnibenevolent. That if there is love and it's not hurtful, it's of the truth, the light. And sometimes this can be a really sticky relationship because our pain, our wounding can allow shame and guilt. And sometimes we feel and we hear that that's what God is inviting us into, is to feel shame and to feel guilt. We have our own beacon of truth, but it gets very muddied in life. And so when we're in our darkest times, God can be present there too. God can bring love there, grace, compassion, and freedom. Freedom to work through and feel the pain, the shame, the guilt. And so I believe that this becomes really important when we're on our spiritual path, because God will always tell the truth. The hard part is we have to be in relationship with God to know what the truth is. And so when we're in our devotional life, part of what we're building the muscle of is discernment. How do I know this is from God? And the other thing about being intimate with God is, say we're still, looking to have downloads and insights for our work or how we're supporting and facilitating women. Our body is our discernment filtration system. Is what I like to call it. If we're not in intimate relationship with a divine loving presence, we take all of the information, any of the information, and oftentimes we just regurgitate what we received. Like we just immediately bring it out as though it's for everyone. And I do want to caution us that if we're not in that intimate relationship and not allowing time to be in discernment, we end up like Paul, in the Bible who didn't have a direct relationship to Jesus. He didn't walk with Jesus. And a lot of his teachings are in opposition to what Jesus taught at the time and what his apostles who were closest to him were teaching as well. And so what happened is Paul in the Bible, who wrote many beautiful things too, but he had this revelation. He had this experience, this spiritual experience where God came to him, Jesus came to him, and he channeled all this information, in which makes up a lot of our Bible today. A lot of the Bible that denigrates women, that um, atones for our sinful nature without actually having um, to be in alignment with the laws of nature. Like we can do all of these things, and as long as we confess our sin, we're gonna like make it to heaven. That's a whole nother story. But big story short, I believe that Jesus's message to Paul was for him because of what he did in his times of persecuting Christians. So if you know the Bible story, I know it's a lot to unpack, but the point of the story is that I don't believe that he was in discernment around the message he received. I think it was for him in his own invitation to restore his heart, to come into a more intimate connection with God. Instead, he shared the channeled message with everyone as though it was for everyone. And now we're in the mess we are. And a lot of people have been wounded and hurt by the church who took on these teachings of Paul over the teachings of Jesus. Anyway, I digress. It's not something I was going to teach on, but anyway, it was an example. As I say, take it or leave it. Okay, a few more things. I love the idea that being in intimate relationship with God allows a cultivation of compassion. A cultivation of compassion because we become aligned with the frequency of heaven on earth, where we love all of God's creation. We see Christ in everyone. And in doing so, we also can restore love to ourselves as well. So it's a beautiful redemption story when we fall in love with God and God's creation, and we we can love ourselves better as well. And then we begin to serve from God's love. Our intimacy with God informs our service to others. Because I think that we all understand and all desire in our sacred service to serve from love. And to do so, we have to know love. We have to know love. And when we know love, we can really serve from wisdom. Wisdom maybe being another face of God, feminine face of God. And that comes with that direct connection through our body be bringing all of ourselves into relationship with God. So let's take a little moment of silence and just allow that to integrate for a moment while we're together. Taking a deep breath in, a nice long exhale. Allowing the body to just sort of get spacious around all that information. Like, don't just keep it here real tight in the head. Like, let's just hold our body around it like a big container. Doesn't have to go anywhere or make any sense at this moment, even. And just allow ourselves to be here in this moment, breathing, alive, maybe joyful, and perhaps inviting a greater quality of intimacy in your connection to the divine. Sending you off with so much love, deep gratitude for your presence here today. And may you be blessed with a deep, trusting, loving relationship with the divine that is transformational in every moment. Each time we bring ourselves fully present to that loving creator who's within us, around us, everywhere, all the time. Sending you so much love.